Here we are on another Natter That Matters, and today it really does matter, especially if you're a business owner and you don't know what you're doing. I'm here with the amazing Tracey Robertson. Hi, Tracey.
Hello.
Who is from Total Office Help, and that's exactly what she does. And a lot of offices, a lot of businesses, and a lot of business owners need help right now. So I thought it'd be good to have a good old chat with Tracey, find out what kind of support, advice and services she can offer to you at this time if you need them. So as you're watching this, if you've got any advice or you need anything, please post in here and Tracey will come back and answer them, because she can't see the questions right now. Neither of us can, because we're broadcasting. So yeah, and she will drop her links and everything so you can get in touch with her, and she's got some great offers for you which we're going to talk through now. So Tracey, how are you doing? How are you? Busy? What's going on in your world?
Very, very busy at the moment. I did think that business would drop off when we all went into lockdown, but actually it's gone a little bit crazy, because although there's lots and lots of information out there, I was finding a lot of my clients were just so totally overwhelmed with information overload, didn't know where to look, didn't know exactly what they had to do, were scared because it was the government and the revenue and everything else. And I was also finding that a lot of them were thinking they weren't entitled to things when actually they are.
Yes, absolutely. I'm definitely hearing this as well. So that's why I thought it'd be great to have you on here. So what's your biggest experience so far of somebody that didn't think they were entitled and then they did get it? I think
they did get it.
Of yours. Yeah.
Yes, there was a family-run takeaway, and I said to the business owner, his wife, and I said, "You have already claimed your small business grant fund. You know, you're the £10,000." And she said, "Oh no," she said, "we're exempt from rates, so it doesn't apply to us." I said, "No," I said, "you pay rent to a commercial landlord and your unit is registered as a business unit. So therefore, even though you're registered as the rates payer, and even though you don't pay rates because it's a very small unit, so it's always discounted to nil, you are absolutely entitled to that grant." So she applied, she rang the council on a Thursday afternoon, and £10,000 hit her bank account on Tuesday morning.
Oh my God, nice. I bet you're my favourite person on the planet. I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it, to arrive in your bank account, especially when you're thinking you got nothing. That's going from kind of, you know, poverty to hooray.
Yes, I mean, there's 5 members of the family who are currently working in that business, because one of them was a student, so she's come home. The middle one was working in London in catering, and that business closed, so she's come home. And the eldest daughter again works front of house in hospitality, so she's come home as well. So it's trying to support 5 of them and the staff they already had. And yes, business has dropped off a little bit, but this will help them get through.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank God for Tracey to the rescue. So there's one example, and I think there's lots, aren't there? And I think they're all different. I know, because obviously I coach clients all day long. Luckily, well, not luckily, my clients are all kind of weathering the storm because they're going online and helping like you are. And but I know that different councils as well, because it's all done through the council. Is that right, or am I got that wrong?
It is, yes, yeah. Because you pay everybody pays their council tax for their house. And for business premises, it's actually called non-domestic rates. Right, okay. I think you'd probably yourself call it business rates. That would be more sensible, but this is local councils we're talking about here. So yes, you ring them, and they will send you, some of them are doing it slightly differently. Some of them are sending you out a form to fill in, some of them are doing it online, some of them are doing it on the phone, and they have already been given this money by the government. And it's all very transparent. There was a link the other day that showed all of the different councils in the country, how much money they'd actually been given and how many claims they were expecting. So how many business rates payers are on their books, want of a better word, and then how many had been paid out and the amount. Now, some of the councils are doing phenomenally well, and they've paid out already about 80% of the money to people. Some of them are not doing quite so well. So I won't repeat what I said. So, and although they have been told they have to contact you, that is obviously taking some time, because the councils are under pressure as well. They're working on skeleton staff as well. And this is all very, very new. Nobody's had to do this before. No. So you may be waiting a while if you wait for them, but there is nothing to stop you picking up the phone, talking to them, So you want the non-domestic rates department of your local council.
Thank you. Great tip there. Yeah.
And they will, they should sort you out. What I've learned from different councils is that if you contact them, generally speaking, it's reasonably quick.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's good, because there'll be loads of people don't want to do because we don't like forms and red tape, and we don't want people to ask us questions and we think we don't know. We just feel stupid, don't we, when we don't know?
Yes.
So what sort of support? I know that you've created in this time. I mean, there's a lot of business owners, including me, who are doing different things, slightly changing things to support the situation that's going on. So what are you offering? How are you helping people? I know you are.
I have put together an information pack, one for self-employed people and one for limited company owners. Now, some of the information is the same information, because you can be an employer, for instance, as either of those entities, or you can be VAT registered as either of those entities. But some of the information obviously only applies if you're self-employed, or only applies if you're a limited company. And basically, I've just taken, there is so much guidance being churned out by the government every single day, and it isn't short and sweet guidance, it is pages and pages. And basically I've just taken that guidance and tried to make it very, very simple, so
if this is easy for us mere mortals to understand.
Yes,
the crap that's coming out, right? Okay,
yeah. I mean, everybody's different, everybody has different circumstances and a situation, but generally speaking, I have tried to do a very simple, frequently asked questions, if you like. So, right, what is this? Am I eligible? Do I have to pay it back? Because do remember, a lot of the money coming from the government at the moment, it is a grant. Yeah. It is not a loan. You will not have to pay it back. Yeah. So there is no fear of you going into debt with this. Yeah. It is a grant.
And so, and I think what people think is they all think their situation is unique, which of course some people do have unique situations, don't they, for whatever reason. So I know that you were saying that then somebody can book some time with you for a very small fee, like really low fee. How much is it?
It's £19 for half an hour.
£19, honest to God, I spent more than that on coffee when I was out and about. So £90 for half an hour, where they can talk through their situation, and because you've got obviously all the information they need in your head, and you can just pick out, be like a filing index, the bit that's needed for them. So that's really great. I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this that are going to want that, and sometimes it's just peace of mind that you've done all you can, isn't it?
It is, yes. I mean, I have one girl that I know, and she's a sole director. She walks my dogs, basically, and grooms them and does dog behaviour stuff as well. And obviously with everybody going to lockdown, and she's had guidance that says, although she can normally walk 6 to 8 dogs at any one time in her van, because that's what it will take, that's what she's insured for, she's been told she cannot take dogs from more than one household in the van at the same time. Gosh. So while she's still been trying to help out her elderly customers, her vulnerable customers, her key worker customers, she can only take one at a time, which of course is not cost effective at all. But at the very beginning, when it first happened, she kind of went into a bit of a panic mode, and everybody stopped. They just absolutely said, I'm not letting the dog out. So we actually worked out that for about 3.5 weeks, she actually didn't do anything. So she is a limited company director. So we're getting a bit of, not much help at the moment, but there is a little bit out there. And so we've worked out that she can actually claim 80% of her wages that she puts through her books for that 3 to 4 week period.
Gosh, so I didn't know that. So she can have been furloughed for those 3 weeks and be working now. Wow, I didn't know that at all. Blimey, that's information. Thank you. It's worth this Natter That Matters to know that for my clients, actually. I thought once you're furloughed, that means you're furloughed, but no.
Not at all. The minimum furlough period is 3 weeks.
Right, thank you. Okay,
then you can go back, and if this goes on a long time, employers are allowed to switch you about, which will make it a bit of a nightmare for the person doing the payroll, but it is possible. There may be
accountants in the room and people that do stuff like that. Yes, of course. The really interesting information.
The accountants are going, oh no, God, please no. But it is possible. So we've been able to get her. I mean, she'll probably only get, I don't know, maybe a few £100s, but it'll be, it's better than nothing.
Well, yeah, and it's free money, realistically, isn't it?
It is,
And
yes.
well, it's not really free money. She's been paying her tax and NI and all the stuff that goes with this for these kind of things. I think there's definitely there's two categories of some that say I don't want any help, and some that say I can't get any help, and others that are just a bit clueless as to where to get the help. So I'm really glad that you're providing that service.
I mean, the only thing I would say is that whilst it is a grant and not a loan, it is going to be classed as business income. So whether you are self-employed or whether you are a limited company, when you next do your financial end of year, you will have to be declaring this as income. So it may then go as part of your taxable profit.
Right, yeah.
Let's worry about that then.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's just get what we need to get now to get us through. I suppose
the whole point of that is that you would have had taxable profit anyway if you were trading, so it's no different realistically. So yeah, it shouldn't be a deterrent. How does that affect VAT register? How does that I know I've just seen on your list on your back screen the VAT registered people. So how, because they've frozen that as well, haven't they? So
they have. Now this is not a grant, this is just a deferral. So if you're due to pay any VAT between, now let me get the dates right, I think it was 20th of March to the 30th of June, which effectively is one quarter's VAT. You might be lucky and get 2 in there. You can defer it until the end of March next year.
Wow.
This is a deferral. So if you have got the money in the bank that you'd already saved up, as we're all supposed to do, and you actually don't need it because you're getting other help, it makes sense to pay that VAT now. If you can't,
there's no interest on that though.
No,
if they don't pay it.
No, and you don't even have to tell them that's what you're doing. Do your VAT return, submit it. That's the important bit. But then you can just defer the payment.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the same way that if you're self-employed, your next payment on account will be the 31st of July. They're allowing that to be deferred as well.
Wow. Gosh.
So
interesting. Very interesting times.
Yeah. And the other scheme that's the big one for self-employed, registered self-employed people and business owners is the self-employment income support scheme, which hasn't kicked in yet. They're going to pay you an average for 3 months based on your last 3 years taxable profits that were on your tax returns.
This is where some businesses may come a cropper, because you have clever accounting where you don't pay much tax. That's pretty clever with that, haven't they, the government? And that's a lot of business owners. I mean, none of us want to pay more tax than we should. We're all, making sure we're running as tax efficiently as we possibly can. So of course,
absolutely, yes.
A very clever thing they've done there for themselves, actually, not for us, but for themselves, most definitely.
But the big thing with that is, even if you claim the self-employed income support scheme, you can carry on working. You do not have to you're not furloughing yourself. You can carry on working. So if you're in a business that's only seen a small drop in income, that is still a drop in income because of this situation.
Making some notes here.
Yes, you can still. And there is also a little known thing that I have, secret, yes. Now I have to credit this one to Martin Lewis, the money saving expert. I did hear him say this. Yes, is that a limited company director can furlough themselves if they are not doing any income generating work for their business. You are still allowed to do your accounts, your compliance and your legal bits. So you can furlough all your staff, but if you're carrying on working, you can't furlough yourself. But if there literally is no work coming in and all you're doing is just doing the payroll, for instance, you can furlough yourself. You can then, if you are already registered as under self-assessment, go and work as a self-employed freelancer doing something else or the same thing. Because technically, you are not working for your business.
So what you're saying is this, and don't hear this, universe, and touch wood, if for some reason I had no more income generating stuff, this is an interesting question though, what if I was then serving, so people pay me in advance, so people pay me for coaching programs, one-to-one coaching, so if they paid me in advance now and I took no more money for May, I could furlough myself, so I can do the work, can I? As long as there's no income being generated. Interesting.
I think we'd have to take some advice on that one, because technically,
how do they know if I'm coaching someone or not? They don't bloody know, do they?
Well, no,
No one's watching this in my Facebook
no,
group,
not in a secret Zoom room, no. But I think the tests, one of the tests may well be, logically in my head anyway, is that if you have clients through your limited company, but you weren't serving them and they weren't paying you, if you went and found new clients and were serving them as a self-employed freelancer, that would be different. The only thing I would say is, depending obviously on what business you're in, you might have to get a second lot of insurance.
Yes, of course.
Depending on
as an owner managed.
Yes, depending on what it was.
Very interesting. So basically, hypothetically, if I wasn't serving my clients, which of course there's no impact. In fact, actually, my business is booming realistically, because people want to know what to do in this time of crisis for their business. So I'm taking on more one-to-one clients than I have done, and I've got more time because I don't go out to conferences and travel the world and go speaking at events. So actually, it's working out quite well that I can serve more people at this time. But actually, what I could do then is not take any more money and furlough myself, and then go and work as a consultant for another arm of my business, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much. Yeah, that would be technically
clever consultancy stuff going on there then.
Yes. Technically that's fine. So in the same way that if you work for a business who have furloughed you because there is no work, you can go and start working for Tesco or
yes, absolutely,
doing something else.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, thank you for that. And so furlough, we didn't even know what this word meant. I mean, it must have existed, mustn't it? But now it's like a famous word, social distancing and furlough are frames that went. So what actually is it? So, clear definition of furlough for anybody that's listening or watching, because we've had so many updates and there's so many actually fake news, isn't there, around all this stuff. So what is it?
There is. Furlough basically means that your employer has no work for you because of the current situation, and with your agreement, so that you should have signed something to say that you agree to this.
Okay, thank you. That's
that he can furlough you, and the government is saying it is a protection. Because what they identified very, very quickly was that in this situation, if businesses could not operate, they were going to have to make staff redundant. Obviously, the government don't want that.
No.
And because of the redundancy laws, which there's so many days consultation they have to give, that was going to kick in quite quickly. So what they said was, right, okay, do not make your staff redundant, put them on furlough, and we will give you 80% of their wages for you to give to them, so that it doesn't cost the employer anything, but the employer is keeping that job open for afterwards.
Yes.
Now, in some cases, there probably still is going to be redundancies, because not everybody is going to survive this. No. What the government are doing basically is just buying everybody breathing space, buying time, and they are paying you to pay your staff to stay at home. Yeah. But whilst your staff are furloughed, you cannot ask them to do anything.
See, this is what I've got a friend actually who's not in, but she's an employee, and she's still doing the payroll and stuff for the company, and she's been furloughed. And I'm like, you can't do that. They can't ask you. Oh, she said, if I don't do it, they won't. I said, no, it shouldn't work like that. And it's tricky, isn't it? Because you've got that whole what the legal is, and then obviously the moral kind of, if you've worked for a company, they've got that nice relationship going of, oh, I'll pop in and do, or whatever, give me the work and I'll do it anyway, to save the company money. And that's kind of where she's sitting, and it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a bit like I know whenever we hit a recession and there's a drop in wages, it's like they shouldn't be able to do it, should they? But they do. So yeah, that's a tricky one.
They do, yeah. I mean, in her situation, if she is still doing her job, then she should be being paid to do her job.
I think she's probably trying to help her employer out, because they're obviously strapped for cash. They're in it. I've lost you. Oh, I don't know if that's me. I don't know if everybody else can hear that or not. I think I lost you there, Trace. Lost you there.
I can. You went a little bit wobbly, but you're back again now.
Maybe we both had a little wobble there. So no, I didn't get any of that. Sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, she needs to basically tell them, look, I'm either working, in which case I want 100% of my wages, or I'm not working, and it's 80%, because there are insurance issues here as well. Yeah. Particularly for those companies that are slightly bigger. So no work whatsoever. So you're working, which is
she's scared that there won't be a job for her at the end of it if she doesn't do the work, though. It's a really tricky one. Really tricky.
It is, yeah. There is. I don't know whether they've released it yet, but there is a whistleblowing helpline.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So I know that when people come to you and buy your information guide, if you like, or some time with you, then they get added on to an updates, which of course they're regular, an update that comes from you. So the government will put out their million word whatever, and you'll kind of bring it into summary so that people get that. So yeah, if you're watching this, then you need that. Then you need to get your information as up to date as possible. So include things like that. I would imagine when they release a whistleblowing hotline, you'll let people know what that is. And
yes, I mean the classic one was we were allowed to start furloughing staff in March. So obviously that affected some people's pay at the end of March, because part of March was only 80% and part of it would have been 100%. The government actually, but then we weren't told how to calculate this. So we all, those of us that do payroll, sort of thought, okay, well, logic said we'll do it this way. So there was a lot of us talking to each other saying, well, I did this and I did this, but we got there in the end. And it wasn't until the 17th of April that the government released how they're going to calculate it, which is very different in some places.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have had to go, and of course we haven't claimed yet. No. But if you do it their way, it's a different amount than what you've probably paid your staff. You're not allowed to claim more than what you've paid them, and it all becomes a little bit complicated. So it's all taken us a little bit longer to sort this out. But the claim line for the job retention scheme opened on Monday, just gone.
Yes.
And it is actually surprisingly simple.
Okay.
It works, which the revenues portals don't always.
Hallelujah. I'm saying it in jest. It can't be easy to navigate and manage this situation. I mean, it's just unprecedented, isn't it? Which is a word we all hate at the moment, but it's true. To be fair, they are trying their best, aren't they? Yeah.
The government, I think, have done a phenomenal job at getting these schemes up and running and money out there as quickly as they can. I mean, the truth will be in the telling, because the first money from the people who claimed on Monday should be in banks by next Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wow.
So it's 6 days, and you're allowed to claim 14 days before you pay your staff.
Right. Okay.
So if your payday is the 30th of April, say, and you claimed last Monday on the 20th, you should get that money before you have to pay your staff, which of course will be a tremendous boost to those companies who are struggling cash flow wise. I mean, you may still be open, but if you haven't got the cash, you can't pay your people. So
Well, we could talk about this forever, because it's such a
it's
lot
huge.
going on, isn't it? It's huge. And I know you're spending all your time, bless you. Your husband doesn't know who you are anymore. I know you're spending all your time with us lovely business owners who just go, oh, Tracey, can you just tell me this? And we're all doing the same at the same time, probably. So I know that's why you've put all this information together, so that you can help the collective rather than, be saying the same thing 100 times a day. So thank you very much for that. And I know you've got a Facebook support group. It's a free Facebook group that anybody can join. So we'll drop that link under here as well. So join Tracey with that, where you can get generic information that she's putting out. Obviously it's not the fact sheets or the real kind of nuts and bolts of what you're doing, but it's kind of just more generic support. And we all need support right now. Business owners need, everybody needs support, don't we? That's the one thing that's coming out of all this, is we're realizing how much we all need each other, and we need to understand that what we're going through is normal. So I know that's, you're good at that bit as well, making people feel better about what's going on, and reassuring them that it's going to be okay, because it will be okay, won't it? So anybody that's watching this, it will be okay. One way or another.
Yes, I think if we all go into this with the best intentions, we'll all come out of it, fine.
The best results, the best outcome. Yes.
Maybe not quite as we thought we might, but we will come out of it.
None of us know, do we? None of us know. That's the thing. It's the not knowing that drives people slightly crazy. I think I know obviously I've coached a lot of clients, and I've got clients different ends of the spectrum of size, and some of them are like, well, we'll just see what happens after this lockdown. We'll just see what happens after this lockdown. And I'm thinking, you're wasting a lot of time and processing time. It's actually, if you were to take action then, I think some people are in slight denial still. I definitely think they are. Maybe bigger businesses with a bit more cash flow are probably thinking it'll be okay. But at the end of the day, business is about money. And actually, if somebody said to me, well, you can have 10 grand from the government, and you have to ring up or do this or do that, this is how you advise people, I would probably do it, because that means I can then provide whatever I want for, you know, with that amount of money in mind to my clients realistically. So if anybody watches this from the government, if you can please give me a grant and then I can help more people to keep the economy going, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
Yes,
I would just love that. Thank you. And Tracey would too. We'd all like that.
Yes,
We're at the bottom end of the market, keeping the whole bloody lot going, aren't we, really? While all the big companies are having to close because they've got so many overheads, they can't deal with it. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of all this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to being part of your community and finding out, so that I can help my clients through it, for those that do have situations or, you know, and opportunities which come out of this, of, you know, being able to serve on a different level. So well done for doing that, Tracey, and thank you for coming to see us here today. And
you're welcome.
I'm sure people can get in touch with you. There'll be a whole load of information of how, and they can get in touch with you privately, I'm sure, and have a little chat with you in that way. Like, they can message you to get information if they haven't got it. But I know the Facebook group is there designed so that you haven't got a million inbox messages, which I know very well at the moment.
Yes, I've been getting a few.
People are saying, oh, we've got all this time, you're doing creative things. I'm like, you're kidding me, I'm answering bloody messages most of the day. Like, what can I do with this, and what should I do? Should I be selling? Should I be doing this? You're like, yes, still sell. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yes, my phone is kind of glued to my hand. My husband's going, it's a
new
appendage
phone in the other.
Yes,
like,
that's the one. Yes, yes,
sorry,
yes,
husband, I might see you in 2021 at some point, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Yes, I'm abandoning you again tonight, love. Ever so sorry.
They've not become TV dinners; they're laptop dinners, aren't they? PC dinners they're actually because you're not eating them in front of the telly. Yeah. Well, thank you very much
breakfast,
for
lunch, and
taking time to come.
No, I was just going to say breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the PC, followed by the glass of wine.
Which is not that PC, really, is it? No, it shouldn't be happening. Are you having wine in the morning, Tracey? No. Is it like that, is it?
No, not quite.
I'm not judging. I'm just curious. Thank you, darling. And yes, I shall see you again very soon. Thank you for coming.
You will. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.